Hi, everybody. This is Virginia Milner coming to you for the DeKalb County Library System, and we have another program. I am sorry about the bad lighting, but I've been trying to do this on a day that was funny and just sunny and just couldn't make it. So now it's night and I have nothing but unnatural light surrounding me. So I'm going to do the best I can and hope that I don't look green or any weird color that I usually it usually seems to me that it turns out when I don't have natural light. So anyway, what we're going to do today is make several earrings. And I got on this safety pin kick, and I recently saw where a very influential designer a few years back had done some safety pin earrings. Of course, his were encrusted with diamonds, et cetera, et cetera. We're not doing that. So, but I thought we would do some safety pin earrings. They're going to be embellished with different shapes, and we're going to have some beads, and we're going to have some that don't have beads. And I just kind of, one of them's really free form. I just kind of went crazy with the wire. So we're just going to play around with a couple of things that we can do with safety pin earrings. We will be making our own pins. This is the wire. We're going to be making our own pins just like we did when we made the brooches. We're not going to use prefab pins. We're going to make our own, and we're going to decorate them, and we're going to shape them the way we want them to be. So let's get started on that. All you need are your usual tools, your round nose pliers, and they are round. The barrels are round all the way around. They're slightly tapered toward at the end of it, towards the tip of it, so that they're a little bit smaller. Then we have the square pliers that are slightly rounded on the outside, as you can see, but on the inside, they're completely flat, and that's what helps us create the square shape. And the third thing is going to be a pair of cutters. There's a couple of several different kinds of cutters, and this is the kind that you can use. You can either use this kind or this kind. They do the same thing. They're flush cutters, and they cut wire. If you're using this kind that has a concave, it's concave on one side and flat on the other side, you're usually going to use that flat side on either type of these cutters to cut your wire if you're trying to get a nice close cut and finish on your wire. So either kind is fine. I have people say, "Oh, you had different cutters." They do the same thing. We're basically cutting our wire. So either one that you would like to use is fine. The other thing that you're going to need is just a plain old emery board. We're going to be using soft wire. So in order for us to, I'm wearing one, in order for us to get them in our ears, just like when we make ear wires, you want to make sure that those little tips are rounded. The part that goes in your ear, the tip of it is rounded so that you don't have anything sticking and poking your ear. So all you need for that is your usual, just plain old emery board or a nail file, whichever is fine. The last thing, or second to the last thing that you need, is some 20 gauge wire. You can also use beads. You don't have to use beads if you want to do something that doesn't, this is two different ones. If you want to do something that doesn't have beads, that's fine. We will be doing with and without beads, just so that you can see you don't really need beads in order to make these and make them really pretty. So let's get down to the other camera and get started. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do, the first one I thought we would make would be one that has a little bit of a spiral, a square spiral. And so for that, I need 6 inches of 20 gauge wire. And I'm going to grab my square pliers, and I'm going to hold on to the wire, just hold on to it right there on the very, very tip, because I'm going to make a square spiral. It's sort of the same process as when you're making a round spiral almost, but just square. A little bit different, not that much. What I want to do is grab my wire right at the very tip with my pliers. I want to make sure nothing's sticking out the back of my pliers, or very, very little, because I wanted to want to make a clean square. So what I'm going to do now, I'm right at the tip of my pliers with the tip of my wire, and I'm going to put a bend in my wire, just like that. Just one bend. Focus. Somebody suggested that I use a darker mat, but that doesn't work because it makes everything blurry. I tried it, didn't work. So I'm hoping that this is better. Just put it very, very close and hope that it focuses okay. So I've got my one bend, and then I'm going to remove the pliers, and I'm going to put them back in at the back where the long part of my wire is. Again, I'm holding on to the tip with the tip of my pliers. I'm going to put another bend in, just like that. So I have a second bend. Come on, camera, focus for me, please. And then I'm going to go back in again at the back of my wire. Focus. I think it needs to be a little further away. It doesn't know what to do. Okay. I'm waiting for it to find itself. Let's see if this is better. Okay, so now I'm back in again at the back of my wire. I'm going to put in another bend. Oops, I'm back here. Right there at the tip. So now this is what I have. A slightly squared off center. Here we go. Then I'm going to make another bend. And what I want to do is, close that up a little bit. I'm going to go right down here at the bottom where my first bend is. And I'm going to place my pliers right there, just above the bottom of my wire. Let's see if we can get a close up of that. So it's just above the bottom of my wire. Here's my angle here. There we go. There we go. And then I'm going to bend the wire down and then across, just like that. So this is what I have now. And now I have another nice sharp bend in my wire. Then I'm going to turn my wire, and I'm going to go back again with the back of my wire near pointing out to the side. I've got a little tiny bit of the wire sticking out here at the bottom. If I turn this light off, let's try that. I might have too much light. Reach it. Okay. So right down here at the bottom, here's the bottom of my little square. I'm going to bend the wire down and bring it across. No, I don't think I have enough light. I'm so sorry, everybody. Should have done this during the day. Focus for me, please. Okay, there we go. Wait, there we go. So I've got a little tiny, just above the bottom of the wire. Come on, focus. There. I'm going to bend the wire down and across. So now you can see the little square starting to form. It's a rounded square, but it's a square. And once again, bending down and across. We did this with when we did our Grecian geometric spirals, the same type of process. And then again, I've got just a tiny bit poking out here, bend down and across, turn, bend down and across. And get sure it's nice and close. And down and across. I'm going to match this one up, so I'm going to make sure it's same size. 1, 2, 1, 2. Yeah, there we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So I want one square. This is me. This is what I'm doing. So you just want to make it until you get it the size that you want. And the biggest thing that you want to make sure of is that you have, here's where measurements come in. If you're putting beads on the wire, you're going to need enough wire to make the part that's going to go in the pin. So if this part has what mine has, which is 3/4 of an inch worth of beads over here, then I'm going to need a good inch and about 1.25 inches for this to go inside my little hook here for the pin. So I need 1.25 inches for this and another 1/2 inch for my coil. Yeah, there you go. So 1.25 inches, 1/2 inch. I like to give myself at least 2 inches, 1.75 inches at the very least when I'm doing a 3/4 side here. So this, if it was 1 inch, I would need 1.5 inches over here and a 1/2 inch for my coil, which would be 2 inches. Just got to make sure you have the proper measurement. If you make this part over here, if you put 1.5 inches worth of beads on there, you take whatever that measurement is, plus an additional 1/2 for your pin and another 1/2 for your coil. So if I have 1.5 inches here, I need 1 inch and I need 2 inches here and a 1/2 inch here, which would mean 2.5 inches. Just make sure you have your measurements correct and you will be fine. So for this, I want to make sure I match up my little coils here so that they're the same size. Very good. Okay, and then I'm going to, so that's as many coils as I need. Then I'm going to go down here to where I have this long stretch. I'm going to grab my round nose pliers and just below the bottom of my coil, here we go, just below the bottom of my coil, I'm going to put a bend in my wire. I'm just going to bend it toward whatever the back is. If this is the front, this is the back, I'm going to bend it towards the back. Just like that. So now I have this little thing that's going to turn out to be the receptacle for my pin. Then I'm going to take my square pliers and I'm going to squeeze the two sides of those wire close together, but not all the way closed. So I'm going to have a little bit of space in between those two wires. Just like that. So this is what I have. There's my coil there's what's going to be my hook. Okay. And then I'm going to take the long stem here and I'm going to wrap it and create a frame around the outside towards the back of my spiral. So I'm just going to put a bend in it. You can use your fingers or you can use your pliers. You don't want to mess up your nails. You might want to go with the pliers. Just here at the top of my spiral, I want to put a bend in. Put a bend in my wire, just like that. Then I'm going to make another bend down the side, opposite of where this little hook is going to be. So put another bend in, just like that. And there's the start. That's the top of my safety pin. Actually, it's going to be the bottom because it's going to hang like this. Okay, and then I'm going to go over here to my little hook that I just made, and I'm going to put a little, as somebody called it, a little ladle in it. So I'm just going to grab the tip of it, get up real close where you can see. I'm going to grab the tip of it, and I'm just going to twist my wrist back to put a little bit of a little ladle there, just like that. And so now this is what I have. And now let's introduce some beads. And I have plenty of wire. Remember, I had 6 inches. And now I'm going to put some beads on. Let's measure this. Where's my ruler? I should have mentioned that you should have a ruler on hand too, which I did. There it is. Okay, this isn't the one that I was after, but it will do the trick. Okay, so now from the bottom of my little spiral to the tip of my wire, what have I got? Not quite 4 inches. I've got about 3 and 3, a little more than 3.5 inches. So because this is Pride Month, I thought we would do a rainbow of beads. So I've got these little seed beads, and I'm going to put them on in the Pride flag colors. Got my red, my orange, yellow, green, blue, and purple. There we go. And let's see how much space that takes up, because it's going to vary depending on the beads that you use. And seed beads are notoriously not all the same size, so you really should measure. So I've got approximately from the bottom of my spiral to the end of the beads, it's a little over 1/2 inch, about actually, it's a little over 5/8 of an inch. Not quite 5/8 of an inch, just so between 1/2 and 5/8. 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, it is 5/8. We're going to say 5/8 of an inch. So I'm going to call that 1/2 an inch and say I need another 1.5 inches in order to make my spiral and the pin part of my pin. So I've got 3 whole inches, more than enough. I could add more beads if I want, but I have a specific purpose, so I'm leaving it just the way it is, but you can add more beads if you want and then measure out accordingly. So I've got my beads on, and I'm going to go right down here to the bottom. Where's my camera? I'm going to go right down here to the bottom of my beads, slide my wire around 1/3 of the way down my pliers. I want a coil, but it doesn't have to be huge. So I'm going to go about a third of the way down my pliers, just resting the pliers against the bead. Make sure you don't push them up into the spiral here, but just rest it just against the beads there. About a third of the way down my pliers. I'm going to bring this long tail over the pliers towards my little hook. I'm going to bring that around towards the hook, right up towards the top here. Focus, please. There we go. So there's the beginning of my pin. And then I'm going to open up my pliers without shifting the wire, twist it back until the pliers are on top of the beads. In other words, the two little legs here are holding on to the wire at the top. Then I'm going to bring that wire around, avoiding my beads until the wire is facing the opposite direction of the top, this part. So the wire is going that direction, the head is going that direction, and we have a loop. I need to continue with my spiral another half turn. But what I'm going to do, I take my pliers out and put them in the other direction. The reason I do that is because I'm using, like I explained, these pliers get gradually smaller towards the tip and gradually larger towards the hilt. Now I had my pliers in this way. If I did my other half a turn over here, this side of my coil would be smaller than this side. So in order to avoid that, I take that out, I turn it around, plug it back in, and then my other half of my coil will be on the same part of my pliers as the first half. So now I'm going to bring that over and up towards the head of my pin again. Look at that. I have so much left over. You can make this much bigger if you want, but I want to make sure that you have enough. But there is my little safety pin. And now all I need to do is cut it down. I want to make sure that it's a little bit away from my little hook, because if it's too far over, it's not going to catch in the hook. And you want to make sure that it has some spring to it. Okay. Just make whatever adjustments. Now I'm going to cut this down so that it fits right inside my little hook. So I want to cut it so that it's just under the spiral. Focus. There we go. So I'm going to cut it so that it's just under the spiral, the tip. And if you cut it a little longer, you're better off than cutting it too short. So just be patient, cut it down a little bit at a time. I'm cutting off a whole good 1.25 inches here, which I hate, but it is what it is. Okay, let's check that out. Yeah, that's a little longer than I need, but at least I can fix that. I can't fix it if it's too short. So let's clip that off. That's very short, so I'm going to turn it down into my spool and let it drop down in there. And let's see what I have. Still a little bit longer than I want. Cut down a little bit more. No need to rush. Clip another 1/16 of an inch or so, and perfection. And there's my earring. Companion piece to this one. So now I have my little rainbow earring. And what I'm going to do is take my little emery board and round out the tip. I just want to get rid of the rough edges. so that when I put it in my ear, it's nice and smooth. And you just file it down like you do your fingernails. Nice and round. Unless you like pointy fingernails. But you want to just get some of the ridges out of here, some of the roughness out. A little bit more. Here we go. Here's my earring. And the fun part about this is it just goes directly in your ear. It just goes directly in your ear and hangs like this. And that's your earring. Isn't that awesome? Okay, that's earring number one. Now, earring number two is going to be a rose. I thought we could do a rose. So again, for this one, I need 8 inches. I don't know what happened to my other rulers hanging out around here somewhere, but this half ruler will do. Okay. So 8 inches, 6, 8. Okay. All right, so what I need is to measure for the size rose that I want, which is not super huge. I'm going to measure 2.5 inches from the tip. 2.5 inches. There we go. Then I'm going to grab my round nose pliers and just right there where I measured out 2.5 inches, I'm going to hold on to it with the tip of my pliers. Then I'm going to fold those wires together and then cross them over each other so that I have a loop just like that. Focusing, yay, there we go. So now I have a loop. So now what I want to do is start a spiral for my rose. So this long wire is on top. This short wire is on the bottom. So what I want to do is flip it around so that the long wire is on the other side and the short wire is on the side where the long wire was, just like that. So then I'm going to take my short wire, I'm going to bring it around and take it behind my long wire. Okay, then I'm going to bring my long wire around behind the short wire. And basically what I'm going to do is follow each wire around. Short around the long, long wire around the short, and in the back of it. And you can see my rose starting to form. I can get a good picture here. See the rose starting to form in the center. Trying to get a good angle and focus, please. Okay, let's bring that around again behind the long wire. And then the short one, the long one around the short one. And I'm just building up along the side until I have a rose. Until you can see the rose building. Can you see that yet? Yes, there it is. Okay. And you just do this until you, well, we have 2.5 inches. You can't make it too big, and you don't want it too big. Otherwise, it's not going to look very pretty. It's just going to look a little ungainly. So I'm going to do this until I'm out of wire, basically, or until I get it to the size that I want, whichever comes first. And I think I have the size that I want. So there we go. So there's my little rose. I can get it, there we go. There's my rose. Okay, then I'm going to bring the short tail of wire. I think I'll bring this long one back behind it one more time. Give it a little bit more of a rose shape. There we go. And then I'm going to take the little short end that I have here, that little short end, and I'm going to curl it back behind the long stem and in the back of my little rose. Just curl it around, just give myself a little loop in the back here. Then I'm going to push that down into the little wraps. Don't want it to be sticking up. Don't want anything to poke me. So there we have my rose. There it is. Nice little rose. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is take this long stem and I'm going to bend it straight down, just like that. There we go. And now I'm going to grab my round nose pliers and just at the bottom of my rose, like I did with the square spiral, I'm going to bend the wire towards the back. Now this has a definite front and back because it's got that little part that you were holding on to back here to make your rose. So you'll definitely know which is the front and which is the back. So I'm going to go ahead and take the tip of my pliers, hold on to my wire just at the bottom of my rose, and I'm going to bend that wire towards the back of my rose. So I have this, just like I did with the other one. There, much better angle. Okay, so then I'm going to take my square pliers and I'm going to squeeze those two ends of my wire together. The long tail and the little short one. Squeeze them together until they're very close, but not completely closed. It's trying to focus. It's trying. There we go. So then what I'm going to do is bring this wire around to the other side. So I've got my my little bill is over here on the side. I'm going to take my pliers, hold on to the two sides of my wire that I have here, short side, long side. I'm going to bend my wire out to the side, just like that. And then I'm going to wrap the wire around the side of the rose, just like I did with the square spiral. Just going to bring that around the side. And down, pointing in the same direction as the little bill. That's going to serve as my hook. Nice and close here. And I'm going to go in with my pliers and I'm going to straighten that a little bit and create that same little ladle that I did on the other one. So I'm just going to grab the tip here and I'm going to give my wrist a twist up, boom, so that I have my little ladle. And that's going to serve as my hook. Now this one has less wire left because those roses take up a lot of space. So I have about, not quite 2 inches, about 1 inch and 7/8. So question is, do I want to just have a plain one, which is what I have here? Or do I have space to put beads on, or a bead in this case? So again, this is about 7/8 of an inch. This is the finished earring that I did before. And if you want to, you can add a bead or two. So let's see what we can do. I need at least enough. So I have 1 inch and 7/8. So let's see. I was playing around with the fact that we have Independence Day coming up, 4th of July. So I thought, well, let me see if I can get 3 beads on and still have enough for my pin. So let's see what we got here. I'm going to put on my little red, white, and blue 4mm crystals, and that's taking up less than 1/2 inch. What have I got left? I need about 1 1.25 inches to 1.5 inches. Because again, I need this is less than 1/2 inch, so I need that 1/2 inch from here and another 1/2 inch for my coil and 1/4 inch to 1/2. But it was too much when we did the first one, so I'm going to say 1/4 inch to go into my little hook. So let's see what we've got. 1/2 inch. So I need 1/2, 1/4, and 1/2. So I need 1 1/4 inches. I've got 1.5 inches. I'd say we're good to go. I can leave all 3 of those beads on. So I'm going to go down here just at the bottom of my beads like I did on the last one. Slide it down about, it can be 1/4 to 1/3 to on your pliers. Doesn't need to be a huge coil. And I'm going to bring my wire over the top, or actually I'm going to do it to the side so you can see what I'm doing. This is the top of my pliers. So I'm going to bring my wire up towards my little hook, like so, and around until I can't go any further, because I don't want to take the wire over both pliers, both of the arms of my pliers. Once I get to where I can't go any further without going over both barrels, I'm going to hold on to my beads, open up my pliers, and without rotating the wire or shifting the wire, I'm going to rotate my pliers back, like so. Come on, let's get some focus here. And then I'm going to bring my wire over the pliers again until it's resting against both barrels and it's opposite from the top. So the wire is going one way, opposite the top of my pin. So then I'm going to turn it around, plug my pliers in on the opposite side so that when I make this other half loop, it will be the same size as this loop. I'm going to bring that over the top. and up towards my little hook. And there is my earring. So now all I need to do is cut this down to the size I want. I'm going to rotate this back a little bit so it's just a little bit longer. Here we go. And there's my little earring. And now all I have to do is cut it down. Adjust this a little bit. Okay, so now all I need to do is cut down. Push this down a little bit more. So I just need to cut down my stem here. Again, don't get too crazy and cut too short. Cut it a little long if you need to, and then cut a little more off if you have to. But if you cut it too short, you have to start all over again. That's very short, so let's cut that down into my little spool. See what I have. Okay, could be a little bit shorter, just a tiny bit. We have a winner, a little bit more, just a little fraction of an inch. And oh, it could still be more. More comes off. And we have a winner. There's my little earring. Isn't that cute? And again, it's going to hang like this in your ear. It's going to hang upside down. That is pretty. I am glad I put the beads in there. That was not my plan. I had planned to do just a plain one like this. But instead, we have this very ornate one. And then you can make whatever adjustments you need. If you want to tweak it a little bit, tweak your little rose, you can. I'm thinking that is looking pretty good. And there's my little earring. There we go. There we've got some focus. There's my earring. So 2 down. Got my rainbow earring. I've got my 4th of July earring. And now let's do one that doesn't have any beads, just because why not? All right, for this I need, I'm calling this my lightning bolt, my lightning bolt earring. I need 8 inches of wire. There's 6 and 8. Okay. People always say, how do you straighten it out? Honestly, I just take a piece of cloth and straighten it, or I straighten it with my fingers. If you want to buy a tool, there are straightening tools, you can do that. But this works just as well. And if you do it with your fingers, it kind of warms up the wire and helps work harden it, which is always good. So there we go. All right. So what we're going to do is make a little top, a little hook part. There we go. And what I want to do for that is measure approximately about 1 1/4 inches from the tip. put a bend in my wire with the tip of my round nose pliers. Bend it like so. Grab my square pliers, squeeze those sides together. I'm trying to watch the camera and do this at the same time so I can see what you're seeing. I know it's hard to see this with this plier in the way. So I'm squeezing it until it's almost together, but not closed. Okay. Then I'm going to grab my square pliers again and go down here, and right there, about a half an inch from the tip of my short wire, I'm going to bend that tip up toward me or toward the ceiling, just straight up and against the plier. Then I'm going to wrap that short tail around the long stem. Now, you want to be careful because this is going to want to try to move. So make sure you have a good grip on your wire. Wrap that around. It's very short. If it's too short for you to work with, use your pliers and use a second pair of pliers and use your square pliers that you're holding your wire with as a guide to wrap this around. Otherwise, I see people wrapping and they start wrapping down the stem, and we don't want that. We want a close wrap against the pliers. This is awkward to do this, trying to do this on camera because I'm trying not to turn it where you can't see what I'm doing. Meaning that I can't see what I'm doing. Okay, so all I need is one time around. And once I have that, a little bit more around there. Okay, and then I'm going to clip that off. Remember I said if you have concave on one side, flat on the other side of your cutters, you want to take the flat side of your cutters and rest it against the wire so that you can cut as closely as possible. So I'm going to cut that off. That's very short. That's going to fly somewhere if I don't control it. So I'm going to turn it down into my spool and clip it off. And just let it drop down in there. There we go. Then I'm going to take my square pliers, find that little tip. There it is over there. And I'm going to push that down against the rest of the wire so it's not sticking up, so that I don't have any scratchy parts. And if your eyesight isn't good enough that you can see it, feel it with your finger. If I can't feel it, or if it's laying down enough that I know that it's not going to bother me or snag on my clothes or anything, that is good. Okay, so I have my little hook part. So now comes the fun part. So now I'm going to make my little zigzag pattern. So here are the two ends of my wire. The two sides of my wire are here. And so I'm going to make a zigzag pattern. Here's one side, there's the other side. I'm going to make a zigzag pattern going in the same way that the flat of my wire is going. So I'm just going to put a little bend, and then I'm going to make another bend, and this is free form. This is very free form. There is no pattern. I'm just going to put a bend. I'm going to make a longer bend in it. I'm making a little lightning bolt. That's basically what it is. Put another bend in. Okay. And another one a little deeper. and just shape it the way I want it to look. One more here. And you can do this with your pliers if you don't want to mess up your fingernails or anything like that, that's fine. So once I do this, again, the same rule of thumb comes to play. You want to make sure that you have enough wire for the pin part because this is going to be your pin and that's going to go inside of your little hook. And if you want a visual, let's go ahead and make that hook and then you don't have to kind of guess where we're going. So let's go ahead and make our little hook. So I'm going to go down here with my round nose pliers. And I'm going to create that little tip like I did with the other one. I think I'm going to close that up just a tiny tad more. Not much. It doesn't need to be completely closed. I want a little bit of space so that my pin can rest in there. Almost finished. Okay, so then I'm going to take my round nose pliers right down here to the tip, and I'm going to tweak it back, just like I did with the others. Then I'm going to go down just below that little tweaked part, that little bend that I put in, about 1/8 of an inch away from that. I'm going to slide my wire down my pliers almost to the back, but not quite. About 3/4 of the way back. And then I'm going to twist my wire away. This is lifted up. I'm going to put a little lift here too. Not quite a 90-degree angle, but just a little bend in the same direction that I did this little bend. So now I have, there we go. So now I'm going to slide my wire down my pliers about 3/4 of the way. And I'm just going to rest my pliers about just a fraction of an inch below where I put the bend in my wire. Let's see if this will focus for me. There we go. Come on, you can do it. There. And now I'm going to rotate my wrist away from me, like so. Then open, rotate back, clamp back down, and rotate again. Another twist. You can see my little shepherd's hook forming. I think one more twist will do it. And there we go. There's my little hook. That's going to be the receptacle for my pin. And if you want to go further down, I could have gone a little bit further down past my little knot here, my little wrap. I'm going to go back in, grab my other pliers, and you can either pull that down so that it's longer, or you can push it down with your pliers just to make it a little bit longer. There we go. A little more. Yeah, let's push that down a little bit more. I'm going to see if that's enough. If it's not, I can do that after I see what my pin's going to look like. Push that down. So it's a little lower. And there's my little shepherd's hook. So now it's time to make my little coil. and it's going to go up towards my little hook here. So again, same rule of thumb, measure. Right here where my last bend is, I'm going to measure to right here, just under the tip of my hook. I've got about not quite an inch and a half, about an inch and 3/8. So I need an inch and 3/8 of wire for my pin and another, depending on how big you make your loops, I would say another half an inch or so for my coil. So I have got, so that's an inch and 3/8, an inch and 7/8. I've got over 2 inches, meaning I could put another bend in if I want. Let's do that. I'm going to put one more little bend. Yeah, now let's see what I've got. So now I've got an inch and a half. So I need an inch and a half plus a half, 2 inches. I am good to go. And I got another little bend in my design. Yay. Okay, so now it's time to make my coil. So I want to grab my round nose pliers. I'm going to put a little bit of a bend in that until it's straight out because I'm going to be bending up. I'm going to slide my wire down about 1/3 of the way down my pliers. It could be 1/4 to 1/3 depending on how big you want your coils to be, just like we did with the last one. I'm going to bring that around and up towards the top of my pin, right up there towards the hook. And now you have something that you have to avoid, namely all of these squiggles. So I need to go around that and wrap, open, and wrap until they're going in the opposite direction. And then I need to go, this side. Go this side and bring that tip, my pin up towards the head. Oops, and it locked right in there. Look at that. It said, I know where you want me to go. And there's my little coil, and there's my little pin. And there's my little earring. And now I just need to make whatever adjustments. Let's see here. I need to cut this down just a tiny bit. Oops. Let's open that up a little bit. It doesn't need to be quite that bent in. Just want it to receive my pen here. Yeah, I need to cut that down just a smidge. Not much, just a little. There we go. And that goes right in there. Now, you want to make sure that this is not too straight. It needs to be able to spring. It needs to be more of a spring. So you want to pull that so that it's sticking out away from your hook so that when you push it in, it catches just like that. And there is our earring. Now I have the other one in here, in this little ear, so that you can see it. And they're hard to get in this thing. So I went ahead and put the prototype in so I could show it to you. And there is your earring. Awesome. It just hooks right in your earlobe. Neat, huh? I like so much. That's it. That's our little lightning bolt earring. Why does it look like it's upside? Oh, it is. Sorry about that. Okay. Is that right? Yeah, that's facing my direction. Oh no, there's the top, there's the bottom. I think it's supposed to go this way. Okay, so there's your earring. There's your earring. And there's one. Gonna hang this way. There's the other one. Gonna hang this way. There you go. Nice. And then, of course, you always have the option, under here in the light here, you always have the option to not put beads in, like I did with this one. But I thought since 4th of July was coming up, and because I like giving beads away, I would give you some beads so that you can do something a little more ornate if you want, or you can leave it without any beads in it, if you would prefer. And just have a nice silver or gold earring. Why isn't it focusing? Focus. Come on. Please. Pretty please. There. Thank you. What a pretty please with sugar on top. Okay, there you go. There are our earrings. That's it. Remember, before you put them in your ears, to take your emery board and shape them, shape those tips so that they're not going to poke, poke little holes in your ears, other than the one that's already there. Yeah, I don't think you want to do that. So there we go, ladies and gents. Everybody out there, this is our piece for today. This is what we've made. I hope you enjoyed it. I did. And I'm going to enjoy wearing these. I'm putting this on so that you can hopefully see what I did. Okay, let's get back up to, let's see if I can put these on and show you what they look like. Okay, this is very strange. I'm using the hand camera to show you this because the other camera is so far away. So here's the one with the rose. There. And here's the one with the geometric spiral. I think that's visible. There we go. There's that one. Oh, these are cute. And if you wanted one that does not have, here's the one that doesn't have any. Put it in. Here's the one that doesn't have any beads in it, but is the rose. Here's that. And then, of course, our zigzag. I had already made a pair of these and I've been wearing them. I really like these. Are so neat. Number one, they're so lightweight. I had 2 people ask me where I got them the first time I wore them. It's just really neat. And they're so easy to make. They're so lightweight. Let's see if I can put it on. They're so lightweight. I forgot really what I was wearing when people were commenting on them. Oh, I did not shave this down. I don't want to kill myself. Stick it in my ear. Give myself a little break. I don't want to stab myself if I can avoid it. Okay. There it is. Isn't that neat? I really, really, really enjoy this one a lot. Let's see if I can get some light on the subject. I hope you can see that. Yeah, I really enjoy these. They're great. I'm gonna put the other one in. But they're really lightweight and they're so easy to make. And yes, they look like safety pins, but your own design. You can make circles out of this. You can do the zigzag lightning bolts. You can do whatever you want. I mean, once you know how to make the pins, there's not really a whole lot that you can't do. Then I made this one that's a lot longer into the rose. There we go. And I've worn this one, and also just forget that I'm wearing them because they're so lightweight. It's 20 gauge wire, few inches, 20 gauge wire, few beads. So those of you who get kits, okay, those of you who get kits, you'll get some beads, you'll get the wire, you can do whatever you want with them. I just wanted to kind of spotlight the fact that we have July 4th coming up, and we're coming towards the last week or so, last week or two of Pride Month. So I wanted to kind of spotlight those things with our little earrings. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. I'm looking at this little tiny camera. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope that you will make some of these things and show me what your creations are, because I would love to see what you do with this. Something like this, you can just make it your own. Until next time, I hope you have a great, the information on how to get in touch with me is in the description on the YouTube page. I can give it to you, but it's right there. So go ahead and go to the DeKalb County Library YouTube page, and all of the information about how you can get in touch with me, send me comments, tell me what you liked, tell me what you didn't like, whatever you want to say. You can't put pictures there, but you can put them on the DeKalb County Library Facebook page. The Facebook page is facebook.com/DeKalb Library. That's facebook.com/DeKalblibray. And you can put pictures there under the little caption where the link to the video is, or you can go to YouTube, youtube.com/DeKalb Library, and leave any comments that you want to leave there. I don't think you can leave pictures, but you can leave comments. And also the information on how to get in touch with me if you want to send me an email is also in the description. So until next time, have a great week. Have a good weekend. I hope this didn't turn out to be too long. And I'll see you later. Bye-bye.